Last Saturday, I went to Seattle for a meeting for the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show, and it was a pretty boring meeting. Uh, I got there, I saw a friend of mine. She's doing pretty good. It's my cousin Viska, uh, Claire, sorry, and she was staying at a nice apartment complex. Honestly, everything around the apartment complex is nice. Her apartment looks sort of basic. It's very cement and very white walled, but she's doing the best she can with it, and I'm really impressed by it. And I had to wait for her to let me into her house because she wasn't actually there. So I walked around and took pictures of stuff. And sometimes I took good pictures, and sometimes apparently I didn't. And I really liked this car, so I decided to kind of check it out, That's kind of what I do. And so Claire took me to this restaurant called AFK. It's specifically for geeks, and it's got a bunch of geeky stuff around it. The curtains are held together by controller cords, and they literally have a menu for just board games, and even the food itself is kind of geeky in name. I got an orc burger. I think it's on here. Is it? Not here. Oh, well, we ended up with a pork natto as well, but uh, that is on the other side. There we are. Ah, Smeg, come on. Do 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 do. I ended up with the orc. We ended up with the right choice and bacon of eternity because we felt like it. And I think she had something else, but I can't remember. But it was good. I ended up, instead of fries, I got soup. But here is the menu for the board game. Just look at all of those games. Once Upon a Time, Dark Tales, Expansion, Picturesque, D2, L3. I mean, just a ton of games, and they actually had more games than that. So I thought, and the food wasn't bad. It needed some extra spice, if you know what I mean. It was good, but it just needed a little bit something a little extra to taste right. But I enjoyed it in and of itself. The soup wasn't bad. It was fried vegetables. And they had arcade games, or video games, uh, everywhere, and I just kind of walked around, enjoying myself. This cake was so impressive, I had to take a picture of it, and I guess they were having a birthday party or something, and they were just like, oh yeah, here, take a picture of the cake. And then one of the waitresses took a picture as well. There's some Sega Saturn games. That's not a Sega Saturn, that's... Well, anyway, they had a bunch of games out to display. As you can see, there were many, many decorations. They even had Dungeons and Dragons on display. There's a area where all the board games are kept. So it was pretty cool, and I enjoyed my time there. And then we went to Value Village, and I don't know how to say this, but my dog passed away uh, the week before, and Claire decided to help me make kind of a little memorial to my dog, who I had had for 16 years, pretty much my entire adult life, and I really miss that dog. She was a good dog. And I went to my friend's place, and they have cats, and this cat kind of claimed my suitcase, my backpack. And this cat just looks cool. Anyway, I went out, and I took a picture of their man-made lake. Check out these ducks. The ducks were cool. Here they are landing. Boom. There were a ton of ducks, so it's hard to explain that they were just going in and out and swimming everywhere. Looks like gang warfare in a way because you'll notice that some of the ducks are, kind of crowded in one place and some of the ducks are crowded in another. But I don't know duck gang warfare very well, so I'll just leave that to the experts. And I walked around. I went to church, and that's very uninteresting to you, except some little old lady shut the door on me. I was out in the foyer, and I never got the sacrament. So that kind of PO'd me. Anyway, I got to the meeting place, and we had, Red Robin's burgers that we could design ourselves. So I had mushrooms and guacamole and whatever cheese I felt like, and honestly, and a little extra bacon, and honestly, it was better than the AFK burger. Oh my gosh, that was a good burger. And I really wanted to make another burger, but I just didn't have time. But I did grab some extra snacks. Check it out, that cookie was delicious. And the meeting was pretty big. It looks kind of small to you, but this is actually the most we've had at a first meeting. And it lasted about 2.5 hours to go through everything. And I mean, one guy brought in an itemized list of things that we needed to work out. And I guess I need to announce this now. I don't know if I'm going to Emerald City Comic Con. I usually do it through these guys right here, and it just didn't. They very likely won't be doing it this year. The gaming area is in kind of a basement place, and it's just going to be really difficult to transport stuff. So they're just like, we'd rather not. So that's kind of a disappointment. I've got some job offers at the Emerald City Comic Con, but I wouldn't be able to do the usual things that I do for the show. So that's kind of in the works as we speak, and I don't have a lot of answers right now on what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. But for right now, I'm going to be honest, I probably won't make it. And that's kind of disappointing, but that's just how things work out. I'm not going to... this girl, who you can't look at, every time I see her, I make sure to ask her questions about math, because I think she's in 4th grade, but we did multiplication together for the heck of it. And she's got this really cool satchel. I mean, Joust, man. How can it not be cool? And she said it was at the Think Geek at the South Hill Mall, which is where Round 1 is. So next time I'm in Round 1, I'm going to go look for the Think Geek. That's awesome. So anyway, it was a really long plan. We went through like the tournaments, how they were organized. We talked about, possible expansions. And we were told, expansions just aren't going to happen. We don't have enough people to do it. Oh man, we got through, I think, there was just so much discussed and brought up and talked about. It was a good meeting, but holy crap, there was a lot. So yeah, that was my trip. I spotted a Tesla. And there are a ton of Teslas in the Seattle area, the Puget Sound area, especially in the richer parts of town. So I'm just really impressed. I don't see a lot of Teslas where I live. And I drove my way home and I saw this sunset, so I wanted you to make sure to see it. Quite beautiful. That's from the Ellensburg spot. And that was pretty much my trip. The Voss is not going to hold any ashes, so relax. But we are going to put it on my dog's grave with a little statuette. Anyway, that was my trip, and I am about to talk about a trip I took within a couple of days after that. So wait one moment. I'm going to have to get to it, but you're not going to notice as much. Okay. Oh man, it was just a really, really busy week. So Tuesday, I got my scouts to build their flag. This is it. They designed it. Can you guess? Every year we get them to build a flag and build a stand and, show it off. And I found out that we have all the flags. I've been giving them away. And instead, people were like, no, you need to show them off. So they've been in the scout closet this entire time. This one was made by my first group. There's Ethan, Abram, and others. That's not in English, but that's okay. That they didn't want it in English. It doesn't look very scouty, but imagine a 10-year-old's mind, and you can just see it right there. I've got a bunch of games I want to play. I don't know if I'm going to make any videos about them. Sorry. The problem is the device I use to record games and stuff, it just stopped working, and I don't have the money to replace it. So I'm trying to figure out what to do on that matter. If you've been watching this thing, you know that the last video I really made was about Power Stone, and I kind of don't know what to do now. It's kind of frustrating for me. Anyway, I noticed that this stack of games is looking pretty precarious, so I took a picture of it. And the day I headed out on my trip, it was a foggy day, very foggy. In fact, it was very difficult to drive at points because I couldn't see the needed distance for cars ahead of me. And the frost creates these little teeth things where I live. But I headed out and I got to Portland and I spotted this car. If you know anything about this car, I'd love to hear it. I hear it's a Mazda MX-5, and I'd believe it. It is quite the pretty car, and the MX-5 is kind of cool. I didn't go and take a picture directly of it because I just, it just felt like I was really interposing there. So I didn't do it. Instead, I posted a picture of the company. So the meeting for the Portland Retro Gaming Expo was at a Round Table Pizza, and this was in Portland. And I arrived really, really early. So I didn't really know what to do. This was the meeting area. I decided to go, and actually I timed it so that I could go and walk to Quarter World. And I just did a bit of touristing a bit, just taking pictures, a walking tour from where I was to Quarter World, which was about 1.7 miles away. And that's a mattress just in the back of some guy's shop. I don't know why it's there. And I spotted a little Alfa Romeo and some stuff. The thing about Portland is that it always looks kind of rough, and it always has, kind of this cool feel to it. And, you have flowers next to junk. And I saw a gun shop, and I was really impressed by the gun shop. The guy was like, well, what kind of guns are you into? And I was like, well, regular stuff, SKS, AUG, AK-47. He's like, okay, go down that aisle. Trust me, you'll see it. Just look down. And there I was, an SKS, an AUG, and an AK-47. I was just like, okay, you're good. You're really good, man. And his shop was really nice, so I would highly recommend it. Got some old school stuff, some old shells and stuff for those who enjoy the history of it. And I really enjoyed it. I spent a lot of my growing up years in Idaho, so guns to me have a completely different meaning from those people who do not deal with guns as a cultural item, and I totally understand it. In your minds, it's gangsters and murderers. In my mind, it's that thing we used as a cultural thing. It has a completely different meaning. And I just took pictures of, oh wow, that's a cool one. That place, and it's a great place. I didn't even go into the archery place. There's another, I believe that's an Alpha. And I found one of the many kind of, I don't know what to call these, but they are all over Portland. Just little trailer restaurants and just gathered together, and they're all over Portland. And this is an old phone box, if you'd believe it. Los Gorditos. Also the fat guys. And I took pictures of flowers, and isn't that cool? Weave. Kind of wanted to go in, but I didn't. Nice little skateboard stance. If you look, that's actually a hallway they built out of branches. And during the spring, it will be very green and leafy and look really cool. And I mean, even the street corners had decorations, and there was a lot of construction going on. So I enjoyed my little walk. And that's the thing about Portland is it makes itself look good with moss. So you'll be looking and, you'll find this right next to some place that's full of graffiti. And that's just kind of Portland's way. And let's see if we can look inside a little, a little. And it was a nice walk. I half the enjoyment of that trip, of that walk, was just the stuff I could spot. And, just all these cool things right at the perfect time to see it too. That was my favorite part. It was nearly golden hour when I spotted everything. And photograph Fotografata da Duval. I'm wondering why there's a photography shop with a French name and but everything is written out in, I believe that's Portuguese. It could be Italian, but still, why does it say Duval? Kind of weird. And I spotted this. It's actually parked at a tattoo parlor, which I didn't take a picture of. Not because I didn't want to, but because there were people inside and I didn't want them to think I was a creep. And all sorts of improvements going on. It's looking very suburban in places, very artsy and all that. And I enjoyed it. Construction everywhere. That's kind of a joke in the Northwest. What's the national bird of Seattle? The crane. So I got to Quarter World, and it cost me $1 to get in because I hit right during their happy hour, and I was like, that's fine with me. And they had some classic arcade games. I didn't know what I was going to see when I went in. And apparently you can pay with PayRange app. I'm going to have to look into that. I wanted to know more about it. And Fix-It Felix Jr. from the movie Wreck-It Ralph. There he is. And it's difficult to get pictures of these perfectly because you have bright lights and dark everything else. So sorry if the lights just aren't quite right because it's very difficult to take a proper picture of this. Oh, that's a Houdini. That's a fun little one. So we have brand new games sitting next to old school games. And it's all over the place. Doo-doo-doo. Alien Front. That's a fun one. I actually really wanted to play it, but I only had $1 on me, so I knew I didn't have enough quarters. And this is some kind of entertainment area, and that's a Tesla coil, so I'm guessing they do a Tesla show for the heck of it. And I thought that was really cool. So there was a ton in this little area for me to kind of check out. Oh. And I enjoyed it, just all these old school things. Quarter World shows up at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo a lot. They're major arcade donators. Although the show is run by the ground control people, the major games come from Quarter World. So, and they actually have their own Fix-It guys there. So they're really, really cool. And I've just been meaning to see this place for a while. And there we go. Oh, Time Crisis 4. That one just barely came out. Nice. And this is a little downstairs area. I'm trying not to take a picture of the people who are right there. And more shots to just kind of give you a perspective of everything around us. And I just wanted to take a picture of Street Fighter because I like to. Tesla coil show. See? $5 buy-in. You just get to see a Tesla coil. do stuff. And the lounge, I thought the lounge was just the coolest thing. Uh, just check this out. I mean, just really well designed. Oh, terrible focus here, but that's okay. Just everything kind of glow in the dark. They have some nice games. And, there's a bar thing. And then down this ramp, they have some really fun games to play. And you can just kind of enjoy yourself a bit. I love this shot because it looks 3D, but it's not. It's just a 2D drawing. And mirrors and the change machine, blah, blah, blah. And there's the projector. There's actually a guy who controls the projector in there. So that was kind of cool. And they just play old school cartoons. And I just really enjoyed it. It's a great place. Joust! One of my all-time favorites. And they've got the Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man theme in the bathrooms, but I didn't go in to take a picture of that. And there you go, Quarter World. If you get the chance, go to it. If you're in the Northwest, Quarter World and Ground Control really are a ton of fun, so you should go check both of them out. They both have a lot of cool stuff to check out. And I walked all the way back. Check this out. Ooh, you are here. I just thought that was really cool. And on the way back, it started to get cold. So I had to, you know, take my pictures. See, there's the tattoo shop. Check out that ironwork right there. Actually, let's check out the ironwork. There we go. And, I took a bunch of artsy shots because I was feeling kind of artsy. And every time I saw a ball that was obviously owned by a dog, I took a picture of it because I missed my dog. Uh, she was a good dog. Yeah. And, flowers. Oh, these cats. Let's see if I can get it. They were all kind of hanging out with each other. And honestly, I was so busy trying to take a picture. Somebody went, "Excuse me." And I had to turn around, and it turns out she was trying to park. I was like, "Oh, sorry, sorry." I tried to get closer to the cats, and they ran away, but they were cute cats. And, I just enjoyed my way along through the trip, and there you go. I thought this shot was really cool. And some of these places I saw going to Quarter World, and on the way back, I was like, yeah, I should take a picture of this. And I just enjoyed myself a lot. So this is going to look cool on Instagram, but right now it looks kind of bad. So I walked the way back. And honestly, the places I wanted to take a picture of was kind of the grooming places where they kind of cut your hair and stuff. And those were some awesome looking spots, but I couldn't do anything. I wanted to check out this place, but apparently it's for sale. It's a nice little theater. That would be fun to put up a little theater, but I don't know how to do that. There's the gun room again, in case I need to post some pictures. That's actually a funeral home. It looks very nice, but it also looks kind of creepy now that you know what it is. And I passed by some restaurants, and the umlauts on that were off, so I took a picture of it and then realized they were just bolts. And at the show, or at the meeting, we discussed what was needed, and and this is kind of a little thing that we're doing. They haven't created any art yet for the t-shirts, so this is not the art for the t-shirts, and we had a lot of discussion on how to get more people. We discussed how to introduce a lot of the new people into how to do things. And, maybe perks on getting people to do some new stuff. And there was other things that I can't talk about. And the pizza was, so it was kind of difficult. Later on, I'll probably talk about it, but not for now. What else can I talk about? I think the big thing I took away from it was I needed to introduce people to how to hook up a machine to a TV, because there were a lot of people who just didn't know, and they didn't know which machine was which and all this other stuff because they never lived in those eras. And half the people around me were just like, I don't know what to do about this. I don't really know any of this stuff. So that's going to be an interesting thing. I'm going to make a little booklet for them. I might even show it to you guys with better conversation. And we talked for about an hour or two. It was a nice conversation. Found out how everybody was doing. The big thing we found out was, or the big thing that I want to point out is that there are ranking systems. And that's going to be a video I'm going to be posting pretty soon, is kind of the ranks within a show. And I'm going to talk about it, but I can't show pictures of the people. So I'm going to show you, but I'm not going to tell you. And I went to bed, but I was in kind of a lot of pain because I've had this injury and I didn't know about it until recently. But apparently if I sit too long, it just starts to hurt. And my entire lower body kind of just is in pain. And I had a cat, this cat actually, fall asleep on my stomach, and it was very, very wonderful, and I loved it, but it made me want to pee about every other hour. And I got in my car. I woke up at around 4 a.m. and just couldn't fall asleep. And around 6, I just got in my car, drove off. My buddy prepared a lunch for me, and that was really nice of him. And I drove through clouds and just some gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. So the road was empty. I kind of slowed down and I took this picture so that I could, show you just the sheer beauty of it. Let's look. Let's see if I got any of it. Yeah. Well, it wasn't as empty as I thought it was. There. But yeah, it was just a gorgeous day. And I drove and I got home and I went to work and then I went to bed because I was tired. And this is the thing from Quarter World that let me in. Both Quarter World and Ground Control have one of those arm thingies to let you in, and they're really nice. So that was my week. And I'm probably not going to do this every single time, but because of meetings, I thought I'd make a video on meetings. And I do have a couple lectures I want to do, but they're going to be pretty, we're not going to hit as many this time. All the lectures you've seen already, I've worked on and prepared to make a book. And this book will be out sometime this year. Hopefully. I'm nearly finished writing it, and I'm going to be working on sources for it really soon. And then I'm going to be submitting it to various people I know to see if maybe they have some information I should be using or that maybe I'm screwing up. So that's what I'm up to right now. Just kind of waiting for stuff. And I do want to do a new lecture series. It's on the media and how video games and the media and others deal with intercultural history, a much more intercultural history look at things. For example, we will be discussing how Moana and the similarities between Moana and How to Train Your Dragon. And I'll explain it to you a lot better during those videos. So for now, catch you later.